What did you do this past weekend?
Our guest is, it wasn't this. Some 100 men danced in icy waters in the Bulgarian village's river as part of the celebrations for the Christian holiday of Epiphany. It is a tradition for men to compete against one another to recover a crucifix thrown into a frozen lake or river. After the crucifix has been recovered, the men put their arms around each other and drink large amounts of wine and grape brandy to stay warm.
Well, you could do that part.
There you go. That's our time. News 3 at 5 starts.
Right now at 5, Tony Evers is officially the governor of Wisconsin. We'll break down his inaugural address and have reaction from top lawmakers.
Plus, the Dane County District says the officers accused of killing the WTS Paradigm shooter will not be facing charges.
And one Wisconsin Badger is headed to the College Football Hall of Fame. We'll tell you who it is.
This is News 3 at 5.
And thanks for staying with News 3. Work is underway at the state capitol tonight under new leadership as a new governor is sworn in.
Governor Tony Evers is preparing for an inaugural celebration later tonight after a day of pomp and circumstance. We have team coverage of Inauguration Day with Jessica Arp, Rose Schmidt, and Amy Reed. And we begin tonight with our chief political reporter, Jessica Arp. Jess?
We had Democrats were on their feet in the Capitol Rotunda today cheering a new administration taking over the governor and attorney general's offices. But both new state officials said today that they would need to work together with Republicans to solve problems in the state. Governor Tony Evers taking the oath of office just after noon today, joined by his wife Kathy, and standing in front of 5 former governors of Wisconsin, including outgoing Governor Scott Walker. Evers' speech was largely focused on calling for civility in politics in the coming months.
We must turn the page on the tired politics of the past. We must lead by example. It's time to remake and repair our state and reclaim our better history.
Attorney General Josh Kaul took the oath of office with his family and then proceeded to call out lawmakers about the lame duck session that stripped him of some powers.
That action, unprecedented in Wisconsin and designed to hinder our ability to do the jobs that the voters elected us to do, will have an impact. But I want to make clear that irrespective of the action taken by the lame duck legislature, the priorities of the Wisconsin Department of Justice are changing.
Kaul also called for new laws around school safety and guns that are likely to be controversial in the state capitol. Those measures include a red flag law that would allow law enforcement to temporarily disarm someone that they thought was a threat to themselves or others. And he's also calling for universal background checks for all gun purchases. Those measures would be a difficult sell here in a Republican-controlled legislature that has resisted some measures like that in the past. Both Evers and Kaul would have to work with the legislature to move anything forward like that this year.
Jessica Arp reporting live from the Capitol. Thank you, Jess. And there are questions tonight about whether both sides will be able to find common ground.
That's a big question. Rose Schmidt joins us live at the Capitol with reaction tonight from state lawmakers. Rose?
That's right. Top Republican leaders say there are issues they believe they can work with Governor Evers on, like transportation and the opioid crisis. And they're optimistic heading into this next legislative session. But there may be still some bitter feelings in the legislature following the lame duck session last year when powers were stripped from Governor Evers and Attorney General Kaul. The state Senate and Assembly swore in their members this afternoon, and Speaker Voss's speech focused on the need for balance of power between the legislative and executive branches and the division in politics, while Democrats say they are hopeful they can work together.
Divided government means a lot more discussion, debate, and yes, even arguing. That's what the voters chose, and it's safe to assume that's what they're going to get. There are some who will want us to take a back seat and allow the new governor to drive the car alone, but that isn't going to happen.
So there's a lot of things that we share as far as our problems are concerned. Solutions might be a little bit different, but in the end, people sent a really loud message that they want Democrats and Republicans to work together.
Republican leaders had previously hinted that they plan to create their own state budget instead of using the one that Tony Evers proposes. But today they told me that that is still yet to be determined, while Senator Urbanbach is, of course, urging them to use Tony Evers' budget. And Representative Seineke tells me that heading into this next legislative session, his top priority will be passing a bill that would protect people with pre-existing conditions. The state assembly had previously passed that bill last year, but it fell apart in the state Senate, and Democrats had previously called it inadequate.
All right, Rose Schmidt live at the Capitol. Rose, thank you. And as Jessica mentioned earlier, 5 former governors were in attendance at today's inaugural address, including Governors Walker, Doyle, McCallum, Thompson, and Schreiber. This is the first time in 8 years, though, that a Democrat will hold the governor's office. The last to do so was Governor Doyle, and we caught up with him today and asked what type of advice he's given to Tony Evers about working with a divided government.
We've had a chance to talk about it a little bit. I mean, one of the things is that the legislature's turned over a lot, so there aren't that many that remember what it was to have a Democratic governor. And they're going to learn just how powerful the governor's office is, that if they aren't willing to work together, then they're not going to get anything.
Now, Governor Doyle had a Republican-controlled legislature during part of his term when he served from January 2003 until January 2010.
With a new round of political leaders in the state comes a historic moment.
As he was sworn in today, Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes has become the first African-American to hold that position. Our Amy Reed talked to some local groups about what it all means, and she joins us now. Amy?
He made history today as the first African-American in this position, but he's also only the second African-American elected to a statewide position after former Secretary of State Vel Phillips in 1978. And while he addressed it in his speech, people watched from all over Wisconsin to see history being made.
Having been duly elected, are you prepared to take the oath?
I am.
Mandela Barnes took his oath of office alongside his parents today, giving them firsthand witness to a moment not lost on the new lieutenant governor.
Time will judge us by what we do at this moment, because above and beyond making history, we must strive to make a difference.
Midwest reached about 1
Henry Sanders, CEO of Madison 365, a media outlet geared toward African Americans in Madison, was excited to see this moment play out. He himself tried to make it happen with his own run for the position in 2010, but even then he was told it would be hard for a black person to win statewide.
For him to be 8 years later, 9 years later to be elected, it's powerful. Change shows how much the state has changed, shows how much the population in Wisconsin, how they view African Americans have changed, and also shows the power of when people decide to vote, how they can have a real voice.
Reuben Anthony with the Urban League of Greater Madison sees this change firsthand in the youth they mentor. He said he encourages them to dream big, and Mandela Barnes gives them hope for their dreams.
It's hard to tell kids the dream, and then it takes 40 years to accomplish something. But Mandela, certainly have gone down in the history books as a young person who really dreamed big, and at the end of the day, it paid off. And I think he's going to be a great leader for this state.
It will be a new day in Wisconsin with you serving as our governor. I'm proud to serve at your side.
Along with a good example for kids, both Anthony and Sanders hope Barnes can bring more equity to the state of Wisconsin through a good relationship with Tony Evers, something Barnes said he wants to work on.
God bless the state of Wisconsin. God bless you all. Thank you.
On this same historical note, we can't miss Sheila Stubbs. Today, she became the first African-American elected and sworn in to serve Dane County in the state legislature.
Yeah, Mandela Barnes, one of the biggest ovations down there at the Capitol today as well. Amy Reed in the newsroom. Amy, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Let's get a first look at the weather now. Gary Canalti is on the weather patio. Gary?
Well, we've got mild conditions right now. The wind is starting to blow a little bit, but it'll really blow tomorrow, and temperatures will drop as a result. Let's start out by taking a look at visible cloud tracking. You can see the swirling storm system. We're on the southern end of it, so we had rain today. They've had snow farther up to the north. In fact, you take a look at the radar, you'll see, or first wind advisories for tomorrow. You can see to our south and to our west, there are wind advisories across northern Illinois, most of Iowa, and the southwestern half of Minnesota for winds that could gust to 40 to 50 miles per hour. The rain here has moved across Lake Michigan. You can see up to the north, it was mainly snow through northern and central Wisconsin. Right now, we're pretty dry. There might be some fog and drizzle when the winds die down a little bit later on tonight, and then some rain showers will develop tomorrow that will change over to some snow. Now, as we take a look at current visibilities, right now the fog not much of an issue, but again, as the winds die down, we could see the fog become a little bit more of an issue. Low temperatures this morning started above freezing, 36 in Madison. We had 47 for a high, only 3 degrees from the record high of 50 set back in 2008. Temperatures now are right around 40 degrees. They'll drop into the upper 30s and then hold nearly steady overnight. The winds right now, again, not too strong here in southern Wisconsin, but farther out to the west, those winds will increase in speed And by tomorrow morning, we could see some wind gusts 30 to 35 miles per hour. Temperatures during the day tomorrow will drop. We'll see some light snow showers and flurries, perhaps up to an inch of snow accumulation in a few spots. High temperature 38 early and then falling temperatures. That's your first alert forecast.
All right, Gary, thank you. We have new video of the shooting that happened at WTS Paradigm in Middleton, where the shooter was killed.
Drop that gun!
Body camera video was released today of the September 19th workplace shooting. It comes as Dane County District Attorney Ishmael Ozan announced the 4 officers involved will not face any charges. Ozan says their actions were justified. 43-year-old Anthony Tong was shot by officers after he opened fire in the building, seriously injuring 3 workers with a weapon he made himself after ordering parts online. The DA says despite Tong being diagnosed with mental health issues, no background check prevented him from assembling the weapon he used.
We cannot legislate against mental illness, but we can legislate against the continuing widespread access to guns and ammunition that allowed Mr. Tong access to implements with the potential to cause so much carnage.
The 4 officers had been on paid leave while the incident was being investigated by the Division of Criminal Investigation.
Vision's nightclub is speaking out about suing Madison District 15 Alder David Ahrens for libel and slander. Ahrens created a petition to revoke the nightclub's liquor license after a shooting took place there last month. Vision says that the business has never had a prostitution or drug arrest, despite the Alder's claims. The nightclub's owner proposed a less drastic solution, while Alder Ahrens held that the license should be revoked.
I've tried to relocate, and that's the answer here, is the city to relocate me. I would be, listening to that. But up until then, Visions will stay here. Will be a nice little nightclub.
This has been the city's view for some time, that this is a place that is regularly in violation of the liquor license standards.
And the city has 120 days to respond to the nightclub's notice of claim from when it was filed.
One of 2 Wisconsin girls who pleaded guilty to stabbing a classmate 19 times and leaving her for dead to please a fictional horror character called Slender Man is appealing her case. The attorney for Morgan Geyser recently filed a court briefing arguing that she should not have been prosecuted as an adult because the girl believed Slender Man would kill her family if she didn't stab her 6th grade classmate. Geyser and co-defendant Anissa Wire were committed to mental health institutions for stabbing Peyton Leutner at a Waukesha park in 2014. The victim managed to crawl out of the wooded park and survived. The girls were 12 years old at the time.
Former Badger All-American football player, offensive lineman Joe Thomas, has been elected to the College Football Hall of Fame. Thomas, who played for Wisconsin from 2003 to 2006, is the 10th Badger to be selected to the Hall of Fame. He was a unanimous first-team All-American in 2006, the first Badger to receive the Outland Trophy as the nation's most outstanding interior lineman. Thomas, a 3-time All-Big Ten selection, started 39 games and leading the Badgers to bowl games in each of his 4 seasons at Wisconsin. He went on to play professionally for the Cleveland Browns before retiring after the 2017 season. He's one of 13 players and 2 coaches elected to the College Football Hall of Fame today. More to come on News 3 at 5. Up next, why actor Kevin Spacey was in court today. We'll have the latest.
And we're in the 3rd week of the partial government shutdown, and there is still no sign of an agreement.
And on Wall Street, the Dow surges 98 points. The NASDAQ adds 84. The S&P climbs almost 18. We'll be right back. Two-time Oscar winner Kevin Spacey arrived at a courthouse on Nantucket today to face a felony charge of indecent assault and battery.
Spacey did not enter a plea at the hearing, but his lawyers entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. The actor is accused of repeatedly groping the 18-year-old son of former Boston television anchor Heather Unruh while standing around the piano in the bar area of the Club Car restaurant in 2016. The next court date for Spacey is in March. The partial government shutdown began the first business day of its third week with no signs of agreement. Today, President Trump tweeted he will address the nation tomorrow night about the southern border. He plans to travel there Thursday to make his case for spending $5.7 billion on a wall that is at the center of the shutdown stalemate. The president is pushing the idea that he could work around Congress and use emergency powers to build the wall.
We have an absolute crisis and of criminals and gang members coming through. It is national security. It's a national emergency.
The president has no authority to usurp congressional authority of the purse. Congress must appropriate funds.
As the federal government enters the third week of the partial shutdown, anxiety is growing over the upcoming tax filing season. It typically begins at the end of January, but the agency is now one of several hit by the shutdown, and so far it hasn't given much guidance. The IRS has not officially said whether it will issue refunds or delay them during the shutdown, but the Treasury Department said in a statement it will finalize and release a plan for the tax filing season in the coming days. A senior TSA source says the agency has seen a modest increase in sick calls from screeners at airports across the country, and there is concern the number of sick calls could rise if the shutdown continues much longer. That could result in longer lines at airport checkpoints. So far, screeners have not missed a paycheck, but that could happen Friday. The shutdown would need to end midweek for the TSA to make payroll.
Well, we started the work week with quite a bit of rain out there. A lot of puddles out there, especially early in the day. Gary Canolti with a more complete look at the week ahead. Gary?
Actually, it was a record amount of rain. We had officially 1.10 inches at the airport. That broke a record for the day for the amount of rain. And on this day back in 2008, we had another mild day. Our record high temperature is 50. We didn't quite get there with a high of 47 here. But if you remember, we had some rare January tornadoes in Racine and Kenosha counties that caused quite a bit of damage in the middle of our snowiest winter. So that just shows you how quickly things can change this time of year. As we take a look at visible cloud track, things right now, very cloudy around here. You can see the storm system sweeping through the Midwest. There is some clearing across parts of western Illinois and southern Iowa. That's where temperatures climbed near 60 this afternoon. But here in Madison, hitting 47 degrees is just 3 degrees shy of the record. Milwaukee did top out at 52. Notice to the north, temperatures only in the mid-30s over northern Wisconsin, where they had quite a bit of snow. In fact, you can see the snow depth now pretty heavy across the central UP of Michigan into areas north of Rhinelander, but basically from Madison southward, very little snow left on the ground. Tomorrow, the big problem is going to be wind. Wind advisories have been issued from 6 a.m. tomorrow morning through 9 p.m. tomorrow evening for northern Illinois, most of Iowa, and the southwestern half of Minnesota, where the land is a little bit flatter and the winds could gust to 40 to 50 miles per hour. Our rain moved off to the east. Now we're just kind of sitting here high and dry, even though we have cloudy skies. We may see some fog and drizzle develop at some point overnight. As far as the rainfall amounts, generally about a half inch to a little over an inch through much of our viewing area, a little less over the southeastern portion of the state, and a little less up toward the La Crosse area. High temperatures over the next 7 days will drop back tomorrow. In fact, the height of 38 will be early with falling temperatures through the day, and Wednesday will be actually below normal for a day with a high temperature of 22. But by Thursday, we're back up to the average high of 26, and then we're in the 30s again beginning this weekend. The live view from the Edgewater Sky Cam in downtown Madison. Pretty quiet here right now. The rain has ended. The almanac for today shows that high of 47, just 3 degrees from the record high of 50, the low of 36, 10 degrees above the average high temperature for this time of year. It's 41 now with cloudy skies. Winds, though, have shifted to the west-northwest. Temperatures will drop off a little bit tonight, but probably hold steady in the mid to upper 30s. Current temperatures are are in the lower 40s here. You can see there's not a big drop off in temperatures to the west of us, so we'll only drop a few degrees for tonight. But the strong jet stream spinning up the storm system as it sweeps north of Lake Superior. The cold front trailing down to the south, bringing showers and thunderstorms down toward the Gulf Coast. But in our part of the Midwest, you can see the low clouds still lingering out to the west. The really cold air is locked up just north of the U.S.-Canadian border. It might come down for just a little brief time on Wednesday before we actually see our conditions warm back up again. So look for clouds, a rain or snow shower chance tomorrow, maybe some minor snow accumulations. Skies will clear out tomorrow night, and then on Wednesday, look for those northerly winds to drop temperatures into the lower 20s, at least for a day here. So our forecast for tonight, mostly cloudy, some drizzle and fog possibly developing, and then some rain showers redeveloping late, low at 36. Tomorrow, the high of 38 will be early with falling temperatures. Any rain will change over to some light snow. There could be some minor snow accumulations, but it'll be windy as well, with winds gusting to over 30 miles per hour. Temperatures dropping to the middle 30s by tomorrow morning. You can see the rain and snow showers moving on through, maybe a couple snow showers in the afternoon. Temperatures staying in the 30s and then dropping into the upper teens by early or middle teens by Wednesday morning as skies clear out. Wednesday, look for sunny skies and high temperatures only upper teens to around the 20-degree mark. As we check out the 7 to 10-day forecast, those temperatures go right back up as we head toward the weekend. Some light snow Friday afternoon, maybe a chance on Saturday as well, and then up to 40 by Tuesday with another chance for some rain or snow showers toward the middle and latter parts of next week. As we take a look at first alert traffic, right now things are actually pretty good. Beltline's looking good in both directions. Some delays southbound on Verona Road from the Beltline southward, and also some delays on East Washington Avenue through the Isthmus. But travel times right now, east and westbound on the Beltline between University Avenue and the interstate, only 16 minutes. If you're heading out of Madison, it's 27 minutes down to Janesville on I-3990, 16 minutes to Sauk City on US 12, and 18 minutes to Sun Prairie on US 151 and East Washington Avenue. That's your first alert traffic.
All right, Gary, thanks.
Thanks, Gary. Health officials reporting a sharp increase in flu activity. What you can do to protect yourself. That story after a short break. Stay with us. Flu season is picking up.
And federal health officials are reporting sharp increases in flu activity nationwide. Hillary Lane has more.
The number of states experiencing widespread flu activity has now doubled to 24. That's according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The dominating virus this flu season is H1N1, which tends to impact young, healthy adults and children. The CDC is urging anyone over 6 months old who hasn't been vaccinated to get the shot right away.
It can prevent you from getting sick, but even if you do get sick with influenza, it can prevent you from having to go into the hospital. Among hospitalizations so far this year, the highest rates that we're seeing are those that are under age 5.
Flu season usually begins in November or early December and peaks in February, but activity can last as late as May.
We actually work with a number of infectious disease modelers, and they are forecasting when they think the peak would be. And about 75% of those forecasts have that peak in late January, but we don't know if that'll be the case or not.
Government health officials say whenever the peak occurs, it still means there will be many weeks of flu season left. So get a shot if you haven't, and stay home if you're sick to prevent spreading the virus to others. Hillary Lane, CBS News, New York.
Last year's flu season was the deadliest in 40 years, and less than half of Americans got vaccinated, which was a drop. The CDC says early estimates show more people are being vaccinated this year.
Stay with us. We'll have another check of your forecast in just a moment. Gary's back. Final check of the forecast.
Still pretty mild out there, although temperatures are starting to turn a little colder. Right now, 41 in Madison. Temperatures are starting to drop into the upper 30s closer to La Crosse here, but these temperatures only fall a few degrees tonight. There might be some areas of fog. Right now, not much of an issue, but as the winds lighten up for a time later on tonight, could see a little bit of fog. Otherwise, tomorrow, that high of 38 early with temperatures falling, rain showers changing to light snow. Might see some minor accumulations. Cold day on Wednesday, some light snow late Friday into Saturday, but temperatures warming back up for the first half of next week.
All right, Gary, thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks for joining us for News 3 at 5. We're back in 30 minutes for News 3 at 6.